Panther Party started with 2 people. You know what I mean? It didn't start. It wasn't a national organization overnight. It started with 2 people sitting down, talking with one another, and deciding that they was going to create a program that they was going to begin to feed their energy into. You know what I mean? Then little Bobby Hutton, and then so on and so forth. It became a national organization. I just say that to say, let us not devalue ourselves or underestimate ourselves. You know, who we are as individuals, and who we are in this little, you know, circle that, you know, we're building with today. We have a lot of worth, you know what I mean? And we need to live and begin to talk and dialogue, you know, in a way that, you know, does honor to how important we are. You know what I mean? This could be the beginning of creating a system of principles, a system of values, you know what I mean, that we begin to push in these neighborhoods to where we can influence people to begin to join on to a new way of us living amongst one another as so-called African Americans or so-called Africans in America. You know what I mean? It's the basis for beginning to change the narrative. And once we change the narrative, we can begin to change the practice. You know what I mean? So I wanted to say that to add on to this discussion, you know.
And I just want to say one more thing, and it all looks different. So it looks different from me. I'm not trying to be from Veronica. Veronica not trying to be me. It looks different from Ty-E. Ty-E not trying to be me. I'm not trying to be her. It looks different from JonTre. He not trying to be on Mr. Mike X. It's not. So we all different, but it's all a road leading to the same fucking place. And you don't gotta imitate me to go where the fuck I'm going. It's not all encompassing when it comes down to your individual journey, but our roads are leading to the same fucking place, and that's all that matters. Your level of spirituality or what it looks like, you could look like Queen Afua. I don't look like Queen Afua, but I guarantee you, me and her going the same motherfucking place. And you need to stop thinking like I gotta look like this person or I gotta do shit just like this motherfucker to lead me to that same road when that's religion. And we not on that no more. We elevated our minds. We in the age of information and we ain't doing that no more. That old thought is gone. So no, you gotta be on your own shit with your like-minded people. And that collective mind is where you're headed. But my road is different from yours, and that's old fucking K.
So Chadwick Boseman, what we want to say about Chadwick Boseman before we get up out of here? We all got to say something like, what was your favorite Chadwick Boseman movie?
You know what? Speaking of that, I just caught wind he did Thor. Anybody seen Thor?
Oh yeah, yeah, I love Thor.
Thor is my favorite movie on the planet, and I did not know he did it. Where was I at?
Yeah. I mean, but that's because they didn't push that narrative. But
they didn't push it. Like, was it at the
He was in Avengers too.
He is in Avengers.
I ain't realize that neither.
He did the James Brown, you know.
When I tell you, I love Thor. Oh my, Thor is just, I was just like, wow. When I found out he did, I'm like, wow, where was I at? When did that come out? How did I miss that? Was that purposely done, intentionally done?
He did the 42.
The Black Panther was just the biggest thing that he made an impact.
I mean, that's because
it,
at the time, it was the timing of it, you know, but 42 was an impactful movie too, because it showed you what the brother that had to go through who came into the major leagues, of all that racism he had to go through while swinging and being Jackie Robinson. That's what I'm talking about. Jackie, he did the Jackie Robinson story. It's just he didn't succumb to limiting the movies that he did. He wanted to tell his people's story. And that's one thing I'm going to say about him that I seen and respected about him, that he did the movies that I be like, that need to be more of. It needs to be more of that. Our people being revered that have fallen and been forgotten. You know, the Jackie Robinson story needed to be told because it showed you how racism in sports, you know, what we had to go through, you know, for one person, like you say, that one trailblazer, that led everybody else. Now you look at the league now, you know, you got all type of brown people in there, you know, the Cubans taking it over. Baseball is being taken over, and that was America's sport, you know. Just all the movies he did. The movie about James Brown, you know, they made the movie about James Brown. He took on that movie, and you didn't look at how James Brown used to go through stuff with his wife. You didn't look at none of that. You looked at the art that James Brown left. That's what he did with that movie. You know, it's just he was good at his craft as far as acting and taking on a character, you know.
I want to appreciate the brother for basically being a symbol of Black masculinity. He really played some roles that really just, you know, it helped me, assisted me with maintaining, you know, faith in my brothers, you know. No, I mean, me, I'm just glad to be who I am, and on the level of awareness that I am, you know, I see the plight against Black men, Black boys, Black babies, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm just glad to be amongst one of the sisters that can really recognize what Chad stood for. And that means so much to sisters who really know the importance of having a Black man in the household. And I said a masculine Black man. You know what I mean? Because there is a difference. And going out of their way to really effeminize our brothers. And I especially during a time when he could have just displayed so much weakness. Chad, you know, he was going through his own personal battle, you know, with the cancer and everything, and still exemplifies so much strength. And I just want to say, you know, may his soul continue to sail on smoother seas. Thank him for the impression that he made on my life, and I'm sure a bunch of other little Black boys' lives.
Right. So just to give a little, you know, on his work that he did. He was in a movie called Perfect Day, 2013. He was in 2012. He did Heaven. I had never heard of these two movies, but he was in the Spider-Man Homecoming. He was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, The Kill Hole, The Express, another movie about a brother, you know, a brother in sport. The Draft Day. He was in Gods of Egypt. He was in Message from the King. I seen that. Like we had mentioned, the Avengers series. He was in Marshall. He was in the movie that just came out on Netflix, The Five Bloods, 42, Get On Up, James Brown, 21 Bridges, and then we all know about Black Panther. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I want to know. Well, I don't even want to know. I want to challenge some of us, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit an effort, you know, to share some of the interviews, you know, that I've been listening to.
Yeah, I've been listening to him.
He was much more than just an actor. Right. You know, he personified a level of Black masculinity, of Black consciousness, and Black spirituality, you know, of class. You know, he represented himself in a way where some of us have attributed to Denzel Washington, you know, as one of our greatest. And not just him as a actor or a movie star, but the way he carries himself, the same way a lot of us have looked upon Denzel Washington. The brother Chadwick Boseman was carrying himself in that same way, you know, as a human being, you know, and he wasn't trying to forget his connection and his responsibility to us as a people, you know. Right. You know, and to be honest with you, you know, the conspiracy factualist in me, you know, that's a new way. You know, we ain't calling ourselves conspiracy theorists, because all too many times, you know, our conspiracies are fact. You know what I mean? They're not just theory. So the conspiracy factualist in me is holding a small part in his consciousness. Not that I have any evidence, but it's funny to me that a powerful Black icon, you know, in the making, a king, if you will, you know, even if it's just primarily on screen, you know, because a Black king of a technologically advanced fictional kingdom called Wakanda. You know, that was not just technologically advanced, you know, at the top of the whole world, but
Pro.
within Wakanda, you had it depicted that Wakanda defeated the tribalism that we're still struggling with in the real world to defeat. You know what I mean? Like, it's always, you know, Bloods versus Crips, or old versus young, or male versus female, you know what I mean? Or Christians versus Muslim, or 5%ers versus Moors, or, you know, Hebrew Israelites. You know, we ain't rocking with anybody. You just rocking with ourselves. we are struggling still to figure out how to overcome the tribalism, you know, where we fight each other over our differences, you know, instead of learn how to appreciate and support one another based upon what we have in common. You know what I mean? The vested interests that we have in common should be where we focus so that we can unite. We all want communities that are prosperous, you know what I mean, where we control the economics and business. We all want communities where we control the policies that are enacted. We all want communities that are safe for our children and safe for our elders. This is what we all have in common, I believe. That's not a Christian thing, a Muslim thing, a Buddhist thing, a 5%er thing. That's something that I believe that if we focused on our vested interests, we can begin to build a community that we all can live in, you know, and still be of different tribes. And this was one of the things. This was one of the things that I loved the most when I watched Black Panther. My favorite part in the movie is where you saw at his coronation to become the king, each tribe was given an opportunity. Each tribe was given an opportunity to have their champion, you know, face T'Challa to become the king, and each tribe had so much confidence in their leadership that each tribe said, yo, I'm good. You know, we ain't gonna challenge today. And I was like, wow, you know, even though this is just a movie.
No ego.
Exactly. It showed us coming together, you know.
Facts. Because you also had
part of what we had in common, a unified, empowered Wakanda. So why can't we, you know, learn from? See, this is the thing. A student can learn from any source. It ain't just Martin Luther King or Black, you know, Malcolm X. A student can be inspired by a comic book. You know what I mean? The inspiration, if it's real to that individual. So I was inspired by Wakanda. I was inspired by T'Challa. I was inspired by Chadwick Boseman. So I just wanted to point that out. If we can learn how to, I don't care if you are a 5%er. I got a lot of respect for 120. I got a lot of respect for our self-Lord and Master. You know, you know, if you are a Black Christian and you see yourself, you know, you're striving to be like Jesus or be like the so-called Messiah in the way you live your life, I don't have a problem with you. You know what I mean? You know, if you are a Muslim and you are, you know, striving to submit to the creator of the universe and you have no other master besides your own mastery over yourself, you know what I mean? I don't have a problem with you. So let us start focusing on our common objective. Let us start focusing on our common interests, our common needs. And I know that we can begin to unite within these communities that see us at the bottom. We can definitely rise up, but we just got to focus on living up to the truth within ourselves. You know what I mean? So I would say that I see in Chadwick Boseman, you know what I mean? That's what I see in me. That's what I see on the people who are here in this conversation right now. You know what I mean? So that's what I strive to focus on. I ain't focusing on anybody. Yo, and I'll leave y'all with this. I wasn't always conscious. I didn't become conscious, so to speak, until I was 20 years old, 21 years old. So at one point in time, somebody might have been looking at me and calling me an 85er. You know what I mean? Deaf, dumb, and blind. Somebody looking at me and calling me a Negro or a coon or, you know what I mean, or a sheeple or whatever, you know? So due to the fact that I know I wasn't always right and exact, or I wasn't even always striving. You know what I mean? You know, I have compassion or empathy or even patience with those who are still in the darkness. And I know
Right.
that the best I can do for those who are still in the darkness is to continue to strive to refine and perfect the light that I am. You know, so I just wanted to leave that with y'all, man. Try to remember back to when you wasn't conscious. You
Right.
know,
that part. Yeah.
when you were head, you know what I mean, or whatever you was, you know, or whatever level of darkness that you was groping through or stumbling through. You know what I mean? Try to remember you see some of our sisters that are still, you know, in the cave. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree with you, because I'm the same way. Like I'm still around them type, because I remember when, but I want to be that light in the circle. If they still accept me to be the new me, to change me, and still accept me to be amongst them, oh yeah, I'm a touch whoever I could touch at that time.
But even without the acceptance,
I'ma still go amongst
because you
them.
might not get that acceptance, right? You might not get that acceptance. So even without the acceptance, you still walking in who you are. Period. That's beyond, because you got so many people that's looking to follow something or somebody, because religion has told us that everything exists outside of ourselves. That's why even in man-women relationships, we looking for a counterpart, when all of that shit is within you, within me, within each and every one of us. But we are taught to look for something up there, when whatever the fuck is up there is in the fuck here. And that's the thing that you walking in, when you figure out your inners, that's what that shit is going to allow. It's going to open up something within that student who has chosen to be a student at that point, because not everybody want to be a student. Not everybody gives a fuck about this shit. And I'm not wasting my time on that shit. Guess what? I'm going to spend my time doing this. And then with me doing this, everybody else is going to either follow suit. You're going to get right, or you're going to what? Get left. You're going to what? You're going to get with it, or get what? Get lost? That's your only options. So if you're not on that path, that's fine. What the fuck is that? What I eat don't make you shit, right? So that's not my concern. My concern is making sure this is good. Because with this being good, I am allowing that person who didn't really know how to do it, I'm allowing them to free up some space within here to really get it. Like, oh, I don't got to be like Mahatma Gandhi. I don't have to be like Mother Teresa. I don't got to be like Malcolm or Martin. I could be like me, and I could still reach this fucking spiritual pinnacle.
And to touch on Denzel, right? So Denzel paid for Chadwick Boseman education for him to get. So that's brotherhood, you know, somebody that he saw himself in Chad, and he actually paid for his tuition, you know, for him to go to school, to be able to make these great films that he was doing. So that's brotherhood, you know. So we mentioned Denzel, and Denzel played a major part in our brother's growth, and we just want to raise him up and tell him peace in paradise. See you when I get there. Leave the door open for me so I could float too. You know, I want to float with the stars, because that another thing about Black Panther that I liked was what you were saying about the youth and the elder, how he was talking to his father when the Panthers was all on the trees on a spiritual realm. You know, you having to bury yourself and die to get to that other side, to have a conversation with your ancestors and come back raised up a king. You know, that was one of the symbolizations that I like about Wakanda, and that whole movie was you had to die. Your old natural self had to die for you to go reach the path to talk to the ones that was before you. They're not here in the physical, but you went to go into the spiritual realm, you know what I'm saying? But then get raised up out the dirt as a king, you know, and that's one thing I did love about that. Then I love that movie for showing where Black America was at, when you had Michael B. Jordan and his eagle going into the Wakanda, just showing how we are amongst them, you know, just amongst our own people, how we could be eagle. Like, I'm the nigga. You know, I'm the shit. This is your kid, and whoop de whoop whoop. That's how our mentality really is in this country, man. And it showed all of that. It was so much powerful that you had to, if you black, you had to relate to it in some shape or form. One of them scenes you could relate to. Your father getting taken away and you being left behind. You mad, having resentment because they left you behind. You know, him mad at his father for not getting his cousin. Well, why did you leave him? You know, all of that was us right now. You know, and it was a deep movie for it to be a comic book story. You know,
a lot of them are though.
Yeah, so
a lot of them are on another level.
Oh yeah, you just gotta stay. You gotta tap in, and that's how I look at all movies. You know, I always see the message, and you know, I just don't see a movie for a movie. And for the entertainment side, I see the symbolization as a writer. Being a writer, I see where the writer was going. You know, like your boy, who's your boy that made the Get Out movie?
Oh, Jordan Peele, yeah. That dude, it's a vicious.
He's definitely a writer like me.
That Lovecraft Country. I don't know if y'all watched that. Check that out.
Messages within the movie, even though you're getting entertained, it's a message within that you got to catch, and that's what he do. Besides just saying exactly what it is, and they, on their platform and get vetoed out, you know, where they want to boot you out and silence you, he's able to do that. Being creative with his writing skills, and it goes right over their head. They look at it as what it is, entertainment, but it'll tap into people like us to what he was trying to do with the message. So, you know, I'm paying homage, salute to Chadwick Bosemans, man.
Absolutely, y'all know what I want to just, can y'all hear me? I want to say something real quick.
Yeah, you're on.
Just like in close, I know we got like a few more minutes, and I think me and MikeX was talking about it. That he hit on this a little bit. And it's talking about, you know, the self-development phase that we're entering into and how we need to be more compassionate with the people that's not quite there yet. It's in the, what do you call that, Mike, as the deconstructive stage. It's like we're going through phases. And Brother MikeX has an awesome, I would call it outline, guideline, or structure on how we reconstruct ourselves. So with that being said, I really want to talk about, and MikeX, please help me out with this. Me and TY has been seeing the growth in ourselves. I definitely have saw the growth in myself from 2000, and I would say when I first started really acknowledging, you know, being conscious and being aware, being self-aware, that is, and knowing my weaknesses, knowing my fears, knowing things I really struggle with. So like my question to MikeX and everybody here, like, what is this development state? What does this development process look like? You know, I know we strive to, you know, be more and more and more, but to get rid of the fear, to get rid of the frustration, all the things that go with procrastination and the what do you call this? Having this inferiority complex that a lot of our community deal with. What does it look like to us to reconstruct ourselves at the stage we are at now? For us, does that make sense, y'all?
Keep studying, keep researching with yourself. You know, you have to figure out yourself. You know, the things that you know, only you know the things that bother you the most.
Right.
Like I was telling y'all earlier, Isha is like my counselor. It's still things that bother me 20 years ago. And I'm trying to learn how to master that. You see what I'm saying? Because it can affect me moving forward, whether in a relationship, whether being a teacher and being a leader, a proper leader for people, being a follower as far as a student, being able to back, you know, to fall back a little bit and let somebody else take the lead when I'm not able to. You know what I'm saying? It's just knowing what's best for you and how to master yourself, researching. Because you know, it's ancestors before us that probably had the same issues you got. You know, you got to study and research because it's all written, it's all for us. Like my thing is, we have the Bibles, we have the Quran, we have all these books, but who's to say the book was supposed to be stopped being written?
That's good shit right there. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I live.
You're writing a book.
You can't tell me, okay, men wrote this book and that's the end and all. No, because Revelations, we're living it. So who's writing the diary to continue Revelations and to tell them how we survive Revelations? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe in we're all going to perish and all that. No, I don't believe in that type of mentality because I think on a spiritual realm. It's always, we're the all being. We're going to always live, whether it's here or in the afterlife, whatever that is. I'm not focused on the afterlife because I ain't there yet. You see what I'm saying? I'm focused on the now. So when they say heaven and hell, I'm talking about right now. Oh, I can have heaven here. Like in the Bible, it says heaven
or
on earth.
hell here.
You know what I'm saying? Hell is here. Yeah, I know. But you could put yourself through hell.
Right.
By stressing.
Through hell,
you know, you can put,
devil, right? I always tell my sisters, like, whoever causes hell in your life is your devil, you know.
And
ahead,
it could be your ass. Causing your own motherfucking shit.
Right. Start clearing your space, man. And to answer what you were saying about the self-mastery and self-development, I think it's real critical. A real critical aspect to that is coming out of your comfort zone. For me personally, I've learned that comfort zones can be psychological prison, right? It can limit you from reaching your full potential. And we all know that a soldier will never know his or her full potential without an adversary, right?
Right.
You know? It's so important to come out of our comfort zone because it's so easy to get comfortable. And I say this because I struggle with it a lot, and I fight against that. You're
not the only one, sis.
Comfortable because I'm so into myself. I spend a lot of time with myself. I'm an introvert. You know, I invest a lot of time reading, study, spiritual work. But at the same time, I have to come to a conclusion. My spirit woman speaks to me like, Tai, you got to be of service to somebody outside of yourself, babe. You know, and I know you want to develop. I know, but you know, how would you know how effective that those learning processes that you put yourself through are unless you can, you know, project that into somebody else's life. Somebody else can find benefit in what you have in your advancement, right?
Right.
I have to always tell myself that. And I have to always remind myself to get out of your comfort zone.
Get out your own way.
Exactly.
Facts. You know what I want? Like one day, if we could all like say like kind of like not like all in depth, like what our journey was, so we could show people like we all got the same mentality. We all going the same place, but we didn't all come from the same place, and our journeys don't all look the same, and we don't all act the same. But it's okay to be each and every one of us on this call and still have the same common goal. We don't have to act like one another. I think that be when you said fear, I feel like that's absolutely right. It's more, it's easier for you to have a template of what you're supposed to do rather than blaze your own fucking path. And even in you blazing your path, even if you following a few of my footsteps, that's fine. But what I need you to do is get the fuck from under my ass. Because if I fall short, where's your head gonna be? Up my ass. And that's not where I want it to be. I'm never sitting at a table as a king looking like, okay, well, my steak is bigger and everybody around me steak is smaller. That means you're gonna have to fucking look on my plate like, ooh, that bitch eating better than me. No, I want everybody at my table eating the same motherfucking way. No bigger, no smaller. No, what they say, no big eyes and little U's or whatever the fuck that shit is. That part. So when you got people on that wavelength, it's nothing for me to turn my back and ever feel like you doing something that is going to be detrimental to what we building.
Wow.
So I really want us to like say what like where we come from.
That's gonna
How
be
did we come
episode
into
15. We're gonna make that episode 15 in. You just created the episode because that is a good idea. Because we do need to share that.
I'm about these ladies though. They the real deal.
Likewise, Isha, likewise.
Word up.
Yeah, I think this creates a beautiful balance because like they say, the elders say, you know, the law of attraction is love in action. You know what I mean?
Man, listen.
Together, that masculine and feminine energy, and find a level of unison and balance, man, this is phenomenal. This is what we're afraid of right here.
Yeah.
So
people different paths, but we all the same. Like the brother was saying, like we don't all gotta like be on the same path. You can have your Hebrew, you can have your Muslim, you can have your Christian. We all got the same common goal. I'm not trying to make you be who the fuck I am. Long as we got the same common goal, I could give a fuck less how you got there. That's not my concern. Long as we here. You know?
In the words of one of my favorite rappers here in Chicago, a brother named Mike Flo, he say, I ain't expecting a nigga to be me, just be the real you. Put you from you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, it is, man. I love you all, and
yes.
all truth and honesty. It's just a
I
pleasure.
really appreciate y'all allowing me to come on here. Because he know I don't do, like, I talk, but this, I've never done anything like this, and I never saw myself doing anything like this, but apparently I got something to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
the path, if I can right quick, you know, answering Sister Veronica's question, there's a couple of things. You know, we're not all supposed to be carbon copies of one another because we're not all here for the same exact purpose and for the same exact role. You know what I mean? The root word of organization is organs, you know, and it's connected, you know, to the body. You know, you have different organs that have different purposes, and each one, even though it has its own particular purpose, it has a synergistic effect, because if one fails, then the body is gonna fail. You know what I mean? So,
or one other one has to work more harder than the other one, right?
Well, depending upon what that organ is, it's over. You know, if your heart fails, it's over. You know what I mean? You know, so, but I'm saying, you know, so you don't have the heart, you know, which is also dependent upon the lungs and the oxygen it gets from the lungs. You don't have them fighting over which one is more important, because if they did, it'd be over. You know what I mean? So, you know, we have to learn how to be the organ, you know, in the organization that we need to be, that we're being called to be. And it should be uniquely, it shouldn't be put upon you by some outside oppressive or domineering force to tell you where you need to be placed. You know what I mean? It should, because 9 times out of 10, if that's the case, that person is getting more out of the relationship than you are. You know what I mean? So it should be, you should follow the development of your own skills, gifts, talents, and inner urging and compulsion to be who you want to be and need to be in the structure. You know what I mean? And you should be given the freedom as an individual to continue to grow and to continue to maintain. It should never be where, you know, there's a big, like she said, big I, little you, or you got the big head scientist at the top of the food order, the pecking order in the organization, and everything is, you know, based upon what he says or she says. You should never be in that type of relationship. And the big head shouldn't even want to control you in that way. You know what I mean? If they want to, if they really care about, you know, the people the way they say they do, they should always want you to strive to be able to be the best person that you can be, you know, connected to who you are aspiring to grow into. You know, this is why spirituality is so important. And when I think about spirituality, you know, I call the creator the eternal spirit of truth, you know, that of love and truth that some call God. I don't call the creator like, you know, God or Allah or whatever, even though I have respect for those names, you know, because I take from each one. You know, I take the best. It's like the 5%ers say, you know, we take the best part. You know, we always go after the best part. So I go into, you know, examining somebody's life. I learn based upon, you know, what they did great and what they did wrong. What they did great, I may take portions of that and put it into my characteristics and the way I run my life. What they did wrong, I learn from it, and I definitely strive not to, you know, do what they did wrong. You know what I mean? So when it comes to spirituality, spirituality is a relationship with the truth. And the truth is, you know, unfathomable in its entirety. we are given the blessing to come up into a higher relationship with the truth as we continue to live, as we continue to study, as we continue to experience. You know, we are opened up to higher and higher truths, and thus higher and higher levels that we can actually exist on. You know what I mean? This is why it's so important to read and to study those who have come before you, so you don't wind up having to try to do something that somebody has already, you know, from scratch, you know, that somebody has already mastered. You can learn from their mastery and stand upon their shoulders as you continue to learn and be able to piece different pieces together that will take you to a higher level. So you should first and foremost have a undying respect for your life, you know, as long as you have it, because you're here for a reason, not to be mediocre, not to be apathetic, not to be dominated and you know, and have to submit, but to grow, to be as strong and as bright as you possibly can, you know, and leave a legacy behind for others to be able to pick up and improve upon and to build upon, you know what I mean? So, you know, these are some of the things I think that Malcolm said. The biggest mistake in the past has been us striving to organize sleeping people around specific goals. He said first you have to wake them up, and then you'll get some real action. The interviewer asked him, wake them up to what? To their oppression? And he said no, to their human dignity, to their own self-worth. You know, once we can awaken in our people, it's not about us telling our people or showing them that we getting fucked up, pardon my language, that they're being oppressed. Our people know that they're being effed up. They know that they're being oppressed. What they don't know is that they are special, that they are divine, that they are worthy of living life just as good or even better than any other people on earth. And once we can help them to know that they are divine and they are just as worthy or more worthy than other races and ethnicities, and they deserve what they have and more, then there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to stop them from going after it. You know what I mean? They're not going to be relying on you and me no more. They're going to be just as hungry and thirsty for knowledge and growth and transformation as we was. You know what I mean? All we got to do is wake them up to their divinity. All we got to do is wake them up to their human dignity, to their own self-worth, and they're going to do the rest for themselves. So having said that, you know, I'll fall back.
Wow, that was a mouthful. And I just want to say this. That's what I'm talking about. That part right there, what he just said, like when you wake people up to their fullest potential, then you're going to be hungry. Because Isha, just like you said, tell our story. That's my story right there. When I woke up to my true potential, I'm hungry. I'm super hungry. I'm almost starving. I got to have it. And I'm not stopping at nothing to get it. I'm not. And I want to wake as many people up to their potential as possible so they can get it as well.
Right.
Because it's a good feeling. But what I really want to have this conversation with y'all, because I feel like I can't have this conversation with a whole lot of motherfucking people that I know. But like when it comes down to good feelings, yes, it is a good feeling. But sometimes we have to minimize those fucked up ass feelings, because even good feelings are bad. Because when you don't balance them out, good feelings, you feeling good about what you're doing could lead you to having a big ego and could take you on a Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So it's not always about, yeah, damn, I really like woke all these people up. And that's why I say like life has humbled me in so many ways. Like we can get into that on another episode, but life has humbled me in so many ways, because I know like what I was doing out here, and it wasn't even really on no conscious shit, okay? But I could take advantage of people, period. There was nothing within me that could like really do that, even though I know people like they followed me, whatever. I really try to stay humble about every fucking thing, because like I even was listening to Kanye shit. That nigga said when everybody was really ridiculing him about crying, that kept him fucking humble. Since when did you never feel like Kanye was humble? In his own right, he has been humble. So even in you helping other people, you have to have a level of, it's like a feel-good moment, but I can't live in that feel-good. Just like I can't live in the feel-bad. I have to find balance,
Yeah.
That's why it's Isha MAAT, because it's not about me being totally good and it's not about me being totally bad. It's about me alleviating the earth for her not to have to seek balance, because she gonna seek balance. And that's why you got all this fucked up shit out here and this good shit that you don't really hear about. I'm going to try to alleviate Mother Earth, and I'm going to try to find balance within my fucking self. So I'm not trying to be too good, and I'm not trying to be too bad. I'm trying to be that middle point, that black dot. And that's what, you know, seemingly we should all. And I try to not tell people what they should do, but the way is being that middle point. And so I get it, like, yeah, especially when you first coming into knowledge and you just like, yeah, and you just want to tell motherfuckers, because it's like, damn, I'm just trying to free you too. And these motherfuckers don't want that shit. Let them get it. Just like how you had to.
They gotta find their own way. It's a burning desire that comes on the inside of each and every person that's beginning to wake up.
Right.
That's what I believe. That's my own individual. But look, back to something that was said earlier, and this has been eating on me, Mike X, and we got to talk about it. When it comes to us, you know, doing our own perspective things, like brother say, that I've been hammering him with this technology thing. Yes, I do. I strive to try to tell everybody, look, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, because I feel like I can do everything, and I think that's something I got to work on. I feel like because I have learned so much, I think that everybody else like, look, you could do it, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I got to work on. That's me. But like he said, we all each got different gifts that we bring to the table, and we all just got to iron sharpen iron at the end of the day. That's all I want to say, y'all. It's a little after.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a great podcast.
Hey sis, right quick. I mean, and maybe we can include this in episode 15, like you said. I kind of, and I don't want to say I disagree, you know, with what sis just said, but I want to say my point of view. I believe that as far as the balance is concerned, you know, and when we talk about the laws of duality, you know, in order for you to have masculine, you got to have feminine. You know, in order for you to have light, you got to have dark. You know, in order for, you know, us to have good, there's going to be evil. And I often contemplate, you know, will we ever be able to eradicate evil fully? And I always say, well, I don't know if we'll, you know, I don't know if we would be able to be, you know, we would be unbalanced then, you know? So maybe instead of trying to eradicate evil, let me strive for my highest good, you know? So this is where I say, I'm not looking, you know, I'm looking to conquer and master my flesh. You know, in the flesh is the lower animalistic passions, you know, and in the spirit, this is where you get your compassion, your empathy, your love, your mercy from, you know. And at this point in my life, I'm striving, you know, for a fuller spiritual, you know, walk, you know, and life. You know, I know that I have my flesh. I know that I have my lower urges. I'm not going, you know, and those lower urges is what's going to balance you out in and of itself, you know. But so you always going to have the flesh trying to pull you back into your past life, you know, and whatever addictions, whatever lusts and passions, you know what I mean, according to your particular, you know, life and your particular fleshly life, you know what I mean. But you are to strive to master yourself. You know, in Islam, they call it the great jihad. You know, you are supposed to strive to overcome your flesh, you know, and strive to live the best life that you possibly can, you know. And a lot of us know truths and know great truths that we haven't yet mastered. You know what I mean? Like, I always look at myself and, you know, I'm my biggest, you know, hater, or not hater, but, you know, detractor. You know, I know the real me, you know, as good as I'm my biggest critic. Thank you. Right. You know, I strive to talk to you from the best of myself. You know what I mean? But as far as me living up to that, you know, that's where the real battle is. You know, when I'm off these you know, these waves that we're sharing at such a high level, I got to deal with me again. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will try to front like they are perfect, and I'll tell you in a minute, ain't nothing perfect about me. You know what I mean? I do the best that I can in everyday life, you know, but there's, you know, I got weaknesses and I got, you know, fear, you know, I got fear of my own, you know, that I'm striving to overcome, you know what I mean? So I feel like if each one of us are committed to that spiritual journey of striving to master self, and we share, you know, the fruit of, or we share the level of vibration that we're able to, you know, rise to, and we share that with one another, we can encourage each other to overcome this flesh-based world of hatred and prejudice and bigotry, you know, the same way we will encourage each other, like, yo, we all got a fitness goal. We all want to, you know, lose 20 pounds. So we say, yo, we going to get out and we going to walk the track every morning. It's the same way that we can commit ourselves to come and build with one another, you know, the way we're doing, you know, and we share the best of ourselves with each other. And as we separate ourselves from those who don't want what we're trying to bring forth, that will create the balance in this world. There's going to be evil and there's going to be people who are striving to do right. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm striving not to have any more part, you know, in the worldly evil, you know, and it's not, and you know, I like a lot of what Sister Ma'at says, and I'm wondering as I listen to her talk, is it the New York in her that's kind of like, you know, got us saying some of the same things or believing the same things? But anyway, you know, anyway, you know what I mean? But that's all I wanted to say. You know, I'm not trying to have, I believe that this is a time of separation. You know, this is a time, I always say, before social distancing, I was already social distancing. You know, I was already socially distancing myself from people who were living their lives on lower vibration, from areas that I knew that area over there, that's where all the F shit go down. I'm not trying to go over there. I'm distancing myself from that. You know what I mean? So
my job keeps me social distant from that. You know, that's why I chose the job I got, because it takes me away from all the elements that I know I could conform to, you know, and I can't help who my family is, right? So, but if I put myself in a path that where I'm on, I separated myself. I started doing things, throwing lectures.
Hey, John, I think it's safe to let's shut this down because we're going over 2 hours.
All right.
We can still stop your podcast.
No, we could. It's kind of already done. You know, we could continue this next week to where we could share like our journeys of how we got to where we are. So that's next week.